Hello everyone. Welcome to the series of lecture on C programming. In today's lecture, we will discuss about storage classes and various C scopes. Okay. In today's lecture, we will start with storage classes. Storage class. What is the purpose of a storage class? Where we have to use this storage class? Generally, in our regular life, if you want to store any information or if you want to store any things, okay, you require a space. Like in your home, if you want to store your books, where can you store? You may store those books in your shelves, okay, those shelves are available maybe in living room, okay. So many people may visit the living room, and even though if anyone can access those books, we did not have any problem, because those books are public. That means they may be accessible by any other persons also, right? Like we have some more things. If we have any private things, like our mobile phone or any etc., like any gold items or anything, if we have any important items we have, those things where we have to store those kind of information in a private place. We have to store those things in a private place, right? Like public space and private space. We have different types of spaces available in our home, okay. So some items we can place in this public space, some items we can put in this public space, and some confidential items, we may place those confidential items in this private space. Similarly, in C language also, we have a set of variables. Here also we have different types of variables. Some variables may be visible to all the functions available in the program. And some variables which are available to a particular block. This is nothing but local. Okay, and this is nothing but global. Okay, these type of variables can be accessible by all the functions in our program, but these kind of variables will not be accessible by all the functions in our program. That means these type of variables will have some restrictions. Local variables will have some restrictions. That means local variables will not be accessible by all the functions or all the blocks. Whereas global variables, external variables, these variables can able to access by all the functions in our programs. Like we have several categories, okay, based upon these requirements, local, global, okay, these requirements, C programming language provides us various storage classes. Okay, in which storage class, what type of variable we are going to store. Okay, let us see what are different storage classes are available. Okay, the first storage class is auto storage class. The first storage class is called as an auto storage class. It is also called as an automatic storage class. And this auto storage class is the default storage class. This auto storage class is the default storage class. That means in your C program, if you create at least one variable, all the variables will be automatically stored in this auto storage class. All the variables will be stored in this auto storage class, right? And the next one is external storage class. External storage class. The name itself explaining us external means the variables which are declared in somewhere else. The variables are declared in somewhere else, but we are using those variables in a particular block or in a current block. Okay, what are the variables we are using in the current block? Those variables are declared somewhere else. So the compiler has to get those variables with the help of this extern keyword. External, it is also called as extern, E-X-T-E-R-N, extern keyword, extern keyword, right? And the next storage class is called a static storage class. And the next storage class we have is static storage class. What is the purpose of a static storage class? Normally, if we create any variable in our program, the variables will not retain its previous values. The variables will not maintain its previous values. For each and every recursion, for each and every call, okay, the variable will initiate its value newly. The variable will initiate its value newly. Okay, it does not maintain its old value. It does not maintain its old value. In some cases, we have to maintain the old values also. That means sometimes we have to maintain the previous value also for the current iteration. For the current iteration, we have to maintain the previous value also. Like we have to calculate sum of n natural numbers. Sum equals to sum of n natural numbers. First, initially the sum is 0. Initially the sum is 0. Next, you have to add this 0. We have to add 1 with this 0. We have to add 1 with this 0. So now what is the value of sum? Sum equals to 1. Now the value of sum equals to 1. And now you have to add 2 with this 1. You have to add 2 with this 1. That means, is it required to maintain the previous iteration value for every time or not? Is it required to maintain the previous iteration value for every time or not? Yes. If you did not maintain this previous iteration value, to whom we are going to add this 2? To whom we are going to add this? Yes, that is the question. That's why sometimes we have to maintain the previous values also, right? Now 1 plus 2 equals to 3. Now sum is equals to 3. And in the next iteration, sum equals to sum plus 3. 1, 2 and 3. Now what is the value of sum? It is 3. So it should be replaced here. 3 plus 3 equals to 6. Now the value of sum is 6. Now the value of sum is 6. Like this, you can add sum of n natural numbers. So to hold all these previous values, we have to maintain the old value. How can you maintain the old value? With the help of static storage class, you can maintain the previous values. You can retain the previous values. And next storage class is register storage class. And the last storage class here we have is register storage class. A register storage class, whenever you want to perform your task very fastly, that means instead of like for example, in your university, if you want to bring a book from your library. So if you want to go to your central library which is located in your university, in that central library, we have so many books are available. Okay, in that library we have CSE department books are there, and ECE department books are there, IT department books are there, like all the department books are available in the central library. So out of those thousands of books, you need to pick a particular book what you required. So how much time you can get? How much time you can take to get a particular book from those many number of books available in the central library? Yes, obviously it takes a lot of time to select a particular book from thousands of books available in the library, right? So it is a central library. It is nothing but a central memory what we have in the CPU. Okay. For example, the same example we will continue. So now instead of going to the central library what we have in our university, if I ask you to go to the department library, for example each and every department have its own department library, okay. So if I ask you to bring the same book in your department library, so if you went to your department library, there you have very less number of books are available. All the books are related to your department only. So fetching a book from the small number of books, fetching a book from your department library takes more time, or fetching a book from the central department takes more time? Yes, fetching a book from the central department takes more time than fetching a book from the department library. Similarly, here also automatic storage class, external storage class, static storage class, all these variables will store in a CPU memory. All these variables will store in CPU memory. Whereas registers are nothing but CPU registers. Okay, so we have only 16 general purpose registers. Out of those general purpose registers, we can able to hold our values. Okay, so fetching data from these registers is very fast than the CPU memory. Okay, so this register storage class is used whenever you require to access your information very fastly. Then you can prefer register storage class. Okay, we will discuss all these storage classes one by one. So the first one is auto storage class. What is the purpose of this auto storage class? Auto storage class is the default storage class. Auto storage class is the default storage class in C programming. Whatever variables you created in the C program, by default all those variables will comes under automatic storage class or auto storage class. All the variables comes under auto storage class. These variables are also called as local variables. These variables are also called as local variables. Okay. So when these variables will created and when these variables will be destroyed. Okay. So these variables will created whenever a function is called. These variables are created whenever a function or whenever a block is called, and they will be destroyed automatically whenever the function is terminated. Whenever the function is terminated. Like C programming provides various blocks, various number of blocks. A block will be represented with this braces, okay, starting braces and ending braces. Whatever you are specifying in between these two braces, it is local to this block only. It is local to that particular block only. Like in C program, we can create n number of blocks. We can create n number of blocks. So if you create any variable in between these two blocks, like int a, closing block. So if you consider this simple program, this is the starting braces and this is the ending braces. Okay. So I have declared a variable, integer type variable, name is a. So the scope and lifetime of this variable is within this block only. The scope and lifetime of this variable is within the block only. Outside this block, a cannot be visible. Outside this block, a will not be visible, right? So this a can able to access within the block. Automatic variables can also be called as a local variables, as we discussed earlier. Automatic variables can also be called as a local variables because they are local to a particular function or they are local to a particular block. They are local to a particular block. Okay, by default they are assigned with a garbage value. This is very important. By default, all the automatic variables will be assigned with a garbage value. Garbage value means that is not useful for us. The value which is not useful for us. Okay, that is the garbage value. See here, I declared a variable int detail. Int detail. You all of you know how to declare an integer variable or how to declare a character variable. In our previous session, we discussed about data types. At that time, we know how to declare an integer type variable. So here I declared an integer variable. Then identifier here I am using is detail. What is the identifier here I am taking? Detail. Int detail. Okay, am I specified any storage class here? No, I did not specify any storage class. Okay, so by default, if you create any variable in your C program, all the variables comes under which storage class? Auto storage class. By default, if you create any variable, all the variables comes under auto storage class. Or else, the another alternative we have here is, you may specify the keyword auto int detail. Auto int detail. Both are same. Both are same. You may specify auto keyword or you may not specify auto keyword. By default, those variables comes under automatic storage class. Automatic storage class. Let us discuss with a simple example. Okay. So, here I can write a program. Main function. In this function, I am declaring a variable int a equals to 10. Int a equals to 10 and I am trying to print this value. Printf %d comma a. Printf %d comma a. Next, I am creating one more local block. I am going to create one more local block. In this block, I am going to declare one more variable int b equals to 20. Int b equals to 20. Here, I am trying to print printf a equals to %d, b equals to %d, comma a comma b. You may observe here, okay, I am trying to print the values of both a and b. And I am closing this block. I am closing this block. Again, I am trying to print b equals to %d. I am closing this block. So, if you observe this program, how many blocks are available here? How many blocks are available in this program? 2 blocks are available. 2 blocks are available. This is outer block and this is inner block. Outer block and inner block. So, you declared a variable a equals to 10 in outer block or inner block? In outer block. So, what is the scope, visibility and lifetime of this outer block variable? Yes, the scope of this variable, as it is an automatic storage class, the scope of this variable is in between these braces. In between this starting and ending braces. A is located in the outer block. So, from this starting to ending position, we can able to access this A. From the starting to ending position, you can able to access this A, right? So, in any instruction, this is instruction 1, instruction 2, this is instruction 3, instruction 4 and instruction 5. So, in any instructions you can use A, the variable A, because this A is local to this block. A is local to this block. And next, if you observe this inner block, here I declared a variable B equals to 20. I declared a variable B equals to 20. So, what is the scope and lifetime of this variable B? What is the scope and lifetime of this variable? So, this is the inner block. This is the inner block. So, in between this starting and ending braces, you can only able to access B. You can only able to access B, right? So, here we are trying to access B. B equals to %d. Okay, while accessing B, I am trying to access A also. I am trying to access A also. Is it possible to access A here? Yes or no? Yes, we can access A here also. Why? Because this is the inner block of this outer block. This is the inner block of the outer block. That means what are the things available in the outer block? What are the things available in the outer block? All the things will be accessible by the inner block also. All the things will be accessible by the inner block also. Like the same example what we discussed in the starting. In the central library, what are the books available? That may be CSC department or ECE department or IT department. Whatever the books are available in the central department, everyone can go to that library and everyone may access any type of book that maybe belongs to CSE or ECE or EEE, whatever it may be. But you have a right to get a book from the library, central library, right? But you have a restriction to access book from your individual department. Only CSE students can able to get books from CSE department library. Only IT students can able to get books from their departments. Like there is a restriction. See here. So this is the local block. This is the local block. This B, like your department library. B is nothing but your department library. This B can be accessible by only CSE department, right? CSE department library books will only accessible by CSE students only, right? Similarly, B will be accessible by only inner block. But if you consider A is a book. It is like a book which is available in the central library. That means these books will be accessible by all the students who are joined in the Vignan University, right? Like this is the function. In this function, how many blocks are there? All the blocks can able to access this A. All the blocks can able to access this A, right? So this is the way we can access. But for example, I came to outside the inner block. Now I am at outer block. Now I am at, my compiler is at outer block. Now here I am trying to access B. I am trying to access B. Like I am IT department student, but I want to access CSE department CSE department books. I am an IT department student, okay, but I want to access the book from CSE department library. Is it possible? No, it is not possible. Like here, we have a local value, that is B. I am trying to access that B outside its scope, So this is an error. This is an error. We cannot access this B outside the block, So this is a simple example for automatic storage class. And you can also rewrite this like auto int A equals to 10. Int A equals to 10 or auto int A equals to 10. Both are same. This is about automatic storage class. And the next storage class we have is external storage class. Okay. External storage class. You can call it as an extern. External storage class simply tells us the variable what we are going to access is defined in somewhere else. The variable is defined elsewhere, but not within the same block. The variables what we are trying to access in the current location, those variables are not defined in the same block. Those variables may be defined in somewhere else. Those variables are defined in somewhere else. A variable that is declared outside to any function is called as a global variable. A variable that is defined outside to any function is called as a global variable. Okay, so global variables remains available throughout the program. Global variables can able to access by all the functions in your program. That means in your C program, if you define 10 blocks, all the 10 blocks can able to access your global variable. All the 10 blocks will be able to accessible by all the functions. Okay, the functions can able to access all the global variables, what we have declared. So, the values of a global variables can be changed by any function. The values of a global variables can be changed by any functions. Okay. So, here to declare an external storage class or to declare an external variable, you have to use this keyword extern. You have to use the keyword extern. EXTERN. With the help of extern keyword, you can declare your variable. See here, in this program, I am declaring extern int x. Extern int x. So, compiler, while observing this extern keyword, it identifies that this variable is defined in somewhere else. Compiler identifies that this x is defined in somewhere else. It is not defined in this current block. It is not defined in this current block. See where it is defined? Yes, we defined it before the functions. The variable, if you define any variable before the functions, then those variables are called as a global variables. So, compiler thinks that this x is defined in somewhere else. So, we have to jump to that location and we have to get the value from that location. Okay. So, x equals to 10. I am assigning a value for x equals to 10 and I am trying to print the value of x. Okay. We will see one more example like int x main extern int x equals to 10 printf %d x function 1 . So, I am going to give definition for the function 1 here. Void function 1 x equals to 20 printf x equals to %d x. Output. What is the output for this program? If you start execution for this program, okay, the first statement will print the value of x as 10 because we assign the value for x equals to 10. So, x equals to 10. Okay, and next we are calling function 1. The compiler will jump to this location function 1. Right? So, here I am trying to modify my x value, x equals to 20. Now, I am printing the x value over here again. Now, the value of x equals to what? 10 or 20? Are you updating the x value or not? So, see here in CPU memory, a block is created for x. So, the initial value of x is 10. Okay, we are retrieving that value x equals to 10 and we are printing here. Next, we are calling to this function. Our compiler jumps to this function 1 and here I am trying to update this x value from 10 to 20. I am trying to update the x value from 10 to 20. Now the value of x is 20. Now the value of x is 20 and I am closing this function and again I am coming back to this statement. Again here I am trying to print the value of x. Now what is the value of x here we have? The same memory location it is occupying. Now what is the value of x here? Yes, it is also 20. We are not updating anything. The old value we are getting. So this is about external storage class. This is about external storage class. And the next storage class we have is static storage class. Static storage class. Instead of creating and destroying a variable every time. Instead of creating and destroying a variable every time. If you want to maintain its previous value, you have to go for this static storage class. You have to go for this static storage class. In our first storage class, auto storage class, what it is telling us, what it is explaining, the automatic storage classes will create, that means the automatic variables will create its memory whenever the function is called. Automatic variables will create its memory whenever the function is called and it will be destroyed whenever the function is terminated. Whenever the function is terminated. That means if you call your function n number of times, if you call any particular function n number of times, every time, each and every time the variable will be created and the same variable will be destroyed. Okay. So if you don't want to access that kind of situation, you can go for static storage class. Okay. Static variables will be initialized only once. Static variables will be initialized only once and remains same till the end of the program. And remains same till the end of the program. Okay. Static variables have a property which preserves their value. Okay. A static variable can be either internal or external variables. A static variable may be a local variable or may be a global variable depending upon their declaration. Okay. You may declare a static variable in the global section or you may declare a static variable in the local section also. Right. So, scope of internal static variable remains inside the function. Scope of an internal static variable remains within the block only. Right? External static variable, scope of external static variable. We can access that external static variables throughout the program. Okay. So, by default, static variables will be assigned with the value 0. By default, the static variables will be assigned with value 0. Okay. So, there is a simple example here we have. We declared a test function, void test. It is a user defined function and we have declared a main function. We are calling this test function 3 times. Okay. Whenever you are calling this function, okay, if you did not have this static keyword, what happened? You declared a variable a equals to 0. Automatic storage class, if you did not declare static storage class, what happened? A will comes under automatic storage class. So, what is the scope of automatic storage class? It will create it whenever the function is called. It will be destroyed whenever the function is terminated, right? So, it will be created whenever the function is called. A equals to 0. Next, a equals to a plus 1. That means a equals to 0 plus 1. Now, a equals to 1. We are printing value. Output window. Okay. Printing value 1. Okay. Next, you are terminating your function. Okay. That means this will be destroyed. This is the first iteration. This will be destroyed. Again, you are calling second time. Again, a variable will be created freshly. Again, a equals to a plus 1. That means 0 plus 1. It is equals to 1. Again, you are printing the output 1 only. Again you are printing the output 1 only. Again terminating the program. This is also destroying. This is also destroying. In the third iteration, you are calling the third iteration. Again you are creating a variable a equals to 0. 0 plus 1 equals to 1. So output you are printing 1. 1, 1, 1. Whenever you call the function, the same output you are generating. 1, 1, 1, 1. Whenever you are calling the function, the same output you are generating. But it is not the output I required. I need to increment the value for each and every iteration. So for that, what I have to do? I need to declare my a as a static variable. I need to declare my a as a static variable. So in the first iteration, I am calling test function. Test function I am calling. So I am entering into the test memory. So in this memory, I created a static variable a equals to 0. Static variable a equals to 0. And a equals to a plus 1. 0 plus 1. It is equals to 1. So I am printing the output. This is my output screen. I am printing the output is 1. Okay, and I am terminating. So while terminating, I am observing, do I have any static variables? While terminating my function, I am observing that do I have any static variables? If I have any static variables, I should not destroy. I have to maintain those static variables till the end of the program. Till the end of the program. This is the end of the program. So till I reaches here, I need to maintain the static value. Okay. So now again I am going to the next instruction in main function. I am calling test function again. I am calling test function again. Do I have a variable? Do I have variable a in our previous iterations? Yes, a compiler will observe, is there a or not? Yes, a is previously available. The value of a is now 1. I am not creating newly here. Like I am not creating newly a equals to int a equals to 0. Instead of creating variable a here, just I am going back to the previous iteration and getting the value of a equals to 1 plus 1. It is now 2. Now I am printing the output is 2. Third iteration I am going. So here what is the value of my previous iteration? 2. A equals to a plus 1. That is nothing but 2 plus 1 equals to 3. Now I can print the value 3. So what is the output? 1, 2 and 3. That means here with the help of static storage class, we can retain our previous values. We can retain our previous values till the end of the program. Till the end of the program. Right? And the last storage class is register storage class. Register storage class. This storage class declares register variables which have the same functionality of an auto storage class. Which have the same functionality of an auto storage class. See here, the only difference is that compiler tries to store these values in the registers. In the registers of the microprocessor. If any free register is available, compiler tries to store these values in the registers, not in the CPU memory. Not in the CPU memory. This makes the use of register variable to be much faster. This helps us to access the content much faster than the previous storage classes, right? And if a free register is not available, then these variables will also stored in our regular memory. If the free register is not available, then these variables will also store in our regular memory. So this is the syntax to create a register storage class variable. Okay, register int number. So this is the number we are going to, that means compiler is going to allocate memory for this number in a free register. If the free register is not available, then compiler will automatically assign memory in a general CPU memory. declare here like main register int n equals to 10, printf n equals to %d n. So this is the way you can declare a register storage class. Okay, so these are different storage classes available in C programming. Let us summarize all the storage classes. The first one is auto storage class. These variables will stored in the CPU memory. Auto storage class. These variables will store in the CPU memory, and the scope of these variables are within the block. The scope of these variables are within the block, and the default and or initial value of this auto storage class is a garbage value. Lifetime of these variables are they exist as long as the control remains in that particular block. As long as the control remains in the particular block. And the next one is external storage class. So external storage class, these variables will stored in CPU memory, and the scope of this variable is throughout the program. Throughout the program, how many blocks are available, from all those blocks you can access these external variables, and the default value is 0. And lifetime of this variable, they can exist throughout the program. These variables will exist throughout the program. And the next one is static storage class. These variables will store in CPU memory, and the scope of this variable is depending upon the declaration. If you declare a static variable within a block, the scope is a particular block. If you declare a static variable in the external section, in the global declaration section, the scope is throughout the program, and the default value it assigns is 0, and scope exists throughout the program. It can exist throughout the program. And the last one is registered storage class. These variables will store in CPU registers. CPU registers. And the scope of this variable is within the particular block only. And the default value is like an auto storage class. It will also use as a garbage value, and it can exist as long as the control remains in the particular block. So this is all about various storage classes available in C programming. And the next concept is C scopes. In this session, we will discuss about various C scopes. Okay, like in our previous session, we discussed various storage classes. If you declare any variable in a local block, the scope of that variable is within that particular block only. If you declare any variable in the global declaration section, then the scope of that block is throughout the program. Like in this session, we will see various scopes. Okay, so what is a scope? Scope of the variable is nothing but the visibility of the variable. Scope of a variable is nothing but the visibility of that particular variable in the program. That is nothing but a scope. Okay, so what is a visibility? What do you mean by visibility? Visibility means it is nothing but an accessibility. It is nothing but an accessibility or area of the program. We can access those variables. Okay, so there are basically 4 types of C scopes. The first one is file scope or global scope. And the next one is block scope or local scope. And the next one is function prototype scope. And the last one is function scope. Let us discuss all these different types of scopes individually, one by one. First, we will discuss file scope or global scope. The name itself indicating us that if you declare any variable in the global declaration section, those variables will have global scope. That means those variables we can able to access in our entire program. A program is nothing but a file. That means throughout the file you can access those type of variables. See here, an identifier is said to have a global scope or file scope if it is defined outside the function. and whose visibility is entire program, and whose visibility is the entire program. Okay. So a global scope, how can we create a variable with the scope of global? How can we create a variable with the scope of global? A global scope identifier can be accessed from anywhere in the program. So before going to access those variables in anywhere from the program, how can you create those variables? You have to create those variables before all the functions, before the all functions what we declared in our program. Okay. So see here, I declared one function int main a equals to 2. Am I declared this variable before going to access? Just here I am trying to access this variable a, but am I declared that variable a? I did not declare. Now I have to declare that variable in the global declaration section. I declared this variable in the global declaration section. Now this variable is having global scope. This variable a is having global scope. That variable can be accessible throughout the program. Like in this program we have two functions, main function and user defined function. Main function as well as user defined function. So as a is having global scope, you can access that a in main function as well as you can access the same a in another user defined function also. Another user defined function also. The same thing here we are writing, like int a I declared So here I declared a global variable. This a is having global scope. Okay. So for this program we have file1.c. We can name this program as file1.c. So this is our entire program. Okay. So you can access this a in the main function as well as you can access the same a in user defined function also. So in this file1.c, how many functions you have declared? In all the functions you can able to access this a, because a is having a file scope or global scope. So the output here you can get is a equals to 20. A equals to 20. Right? This is about file scope. And the next one is block scope or local scope. Block scope or local scope. If any identifier has only within that area, if any identifier has a scope which is declared only within that area, like if you declared any variable in a particular block and the scope of that variable is within that particular block, is nothing but a local scope or block scope. Is nothing but a local scope or block scope. A best example for this block scope or local scope is nothing but an automatic storage class. If you declare any automatic storage class or if you declare any variable comes under auto storage class, the scope of those variables are nothing but block scope or local scope. Okay. So a block is a set of statements enclosed within left and right braces. A block is nothing but a set of statements which are enclosed in between two braces. Blocks may be nested. Okay, that means a block may consist another inner block. A block may consist another inner block. Okay. So a variable declared in a block is accessible in that particular block only. A variable declared within the block, like if I declared a variable so here I declare two blocks, okay, one is outer and the second one is inner block. If I declare any variable in a particular block and we can access that variable in that particular block as well as in the inner blocks also, you can able to access. What if the inner block itself has one variable? What if the inner block itself has one variable with the same name? For example, in that inner block also, if we have a same variable int a, what we have to do? For example, if I have, if I ask you to bring a textbook, a C programming textbook, okay? So the C programming textbook is available in your department library as well as the same textbook is available in the central library. Which one is nearer to you? Department library is nearer to you or central library is nearer to you? Obviously, department library is nearer to you. So, you can prefer the same book from department library or central library? Yes, department library is nearer to you, so you can prefer to access the inner block values only instead of going to the outer block. Which one is nearer to you to access the content? Inner block content is nearer to you than the outer block content. So, you never prefer the outer block content. If the same data is available in our particular block itself, we can't go for outside. So, this is about nested blocks. This is about nested blocks. The same thing here we are explaining. If an inner block declares a variable with the same name as the variable declared by the outer block, then the visibility of the outer block variable ends at the point of declaration by inner block. The declaration by inner block. Okay, let us see an example. Here I am declaring two variables x and y, and I am starting one more inner block. I am trying to print this x, y. As this is the variables declared outside, we can access those variables in the inner block also. So, I can easily access this x and y. After that, again I am starting one more nested block. In this nested block, I am trying to declare y again. I am trying to declare y again. So, here I am trying to increment x value. From where should I get the x value? Did I have x here? I may declared x in the inside inner block? No, I did not declare x in the inner block. So, I need to jump to this location and I get the x value. And next instruction is y. So, here I am checking, is y available or not? Yes, y is available here. So, I did not go for the outer block. I did not go for the outer block. Just I can access this inner block value y and I am updating 40 plus plus. Okay. So, I am trying to print x and y updated values. And next, I am trying to print both x and y values in the outer block. So, is this inner block affects in the outer location? Is this inner block affects in the outer location? No. The scope of this y ends here. The scope of this y ends here. The scope of this y ends here. We should not access this 40 in this location. So, here you can print the values of x is 10 and y is 20. X is 10. Sorry, here we updated 20 to 21. So, if you print here, output is 10 and 20. 10 and 20. You are changing your values. X equals to 11 and y equals to 41. And here x equals to 11 and y equals to 20 and y equals to 20. This is the output for the program. Okay. And the next one is function prototype scope. Function prototype scope. So, this function prototype scope is nothing but if any identifier appears within the function prototypes list, if any identifier is appeared within the function prototypes list, then the scope of those identifiers are within that particular function prototype or within that particular function prototype only. See an example. Here int students, students is a user defined function. Student is a user defined function. These are the variables or these are the parameters we are passing to this function. This is the function prototype. Int student is the function prototype. So, for this function, what are the parameters here we are passing? like int David, Susan, Mary and John. These are the variables we are passing to this student function. So, the scope or lifetime will be activated, or these variables will be created whenever you enter into this parenthesis. Okay, and these variables will be visible until you reaches this termination, Okay, so in between these two parentheses only, the visibility of these variables will be appear. The scope of these variables will be appear in between those two parentheses only. Okay, the same thing here we are explaining. The scope of these variables beginning at the declaration and the scope of these variables will be terminating at the closing of parentheses, Okay, and we have another last type of scope is function scope. Okay, we have a keyword. In our previous sessions, you may discussed about label. Okay, with the help of this label, you can jump from one location to another location. With the help of label, you can unconditionally jump from one location to another location. The only label is having a function scope. The only label is having the function scope. With the help of goto keyword, you can jump from one location to another location unconditionally. This label is having only function scope. Label is the only kind of identifier that always has a function scope. It can be used anywhere within the function. For example, here we declared a user defined function 1 and you declared another function 2. Here I created one label X, and I have some instructions. Okay, a label will not evaluated without calling. A label instructions will not evaluated without calling the particular label. So, just I am verifying this condition. If the condition is true, I can go to label. If the condition is not true, I won't go to this label. Similarly, here also function 2, go to label. So, where is this label? This label is available in the function 1. Unconditionally, I am jumping from this location to function 2 and evaluating that instruction, and we are going to evaluate those instructions what we have under the label. So, label is the only identifier which can have a function scope, So, these are all different examples we have for various types of scopes available in C programming. So, totally we have file scope or global scope. Next one is block scope or local scope. Next, function prototype scope. And the last one is function scope. With the help of these types of scopes, we can able to see the visibility of a particular variable. Okay, thank you. In the next session, we will discuss about formatted input and output functions and various functions which are available to read characters.